Oh, my name is Gordon McIntyre. I'm a Korean War veteran. I volunteered to go to Korea. I was 20 years old, but
Can you tell us what your life was like before you went to the Korean War? Any specific memories that you would like to share with us?
Oh, yes. I was born in Wanganui. Yes, on a dairy farm. Mother and Dad had a dairy farm. Early in the morning when I was about 3, Mum taking us down to the cow shed because they used to start milking the cows at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Growing up, I did my primary school there, secondary, and after that I did an apprenticeship as today they would call it an electronic technician.
Where you shared the reason of joining the military as a cadet. Can you tell us a little?
Oh, the reason I was very much anti-communist, and I thought, and I liked adventure. Broke out the Second World War, and Dad volunteered, and he was also, I don't know how he did it, but he became a marine and stationary engineer. Because my Uncle Bob too was a pilot in the Navy. He recommended that I went to the Army School of Instruction.
Okay.
Now when I went into the Army, I passed my medical, and then I got the call-up notice, and my parents weren't pleased, but I had to have their permission. So anyway, I won out, and we were sent down to an army crossing over the Tasman to Sydney, and then we called in momentarily to Brisbane, and then we went right up the Gold Coast, right up around Cape York, and that was the most beautiful boat ride I've ever had. The water was crystal clear, you could see the fish going through, and the water snakes were going past, and whales, and it was just mesmerising, you know. We're 2 nights out, and we're at Marcella, and it was at dawn. The dawn was just breaking, and I can remember this night very, very clearly, because we have dog tags, we call them, but they're a string around your neck with your identification tags on them, and I had my hand through it, and I was choking myself in the morning, and then I was thrown against the bulkhead, which is the wall in the cabin, and I thought, something's gone wrong. So I was up on deck, and I could see the outline of the island, and I thought, well, how did they run into the middle of an island when the dawn was breaking, because it was silhouetted against this beautiful sky. On a ferry across the Straits to South Korea. We were embarked on a train there. The train didn't have the engines like a bullet train that you've got at the moment, and it took us 2 days to go up to Seoul. And we were put on trucks and transported up to a place called Fort George. And the gunfire, you could see that the lights would pulse with a gunfire like that at night, and it was so bright for all this great distance. But I think that night a miracle happened, and that there was a shell that landed outside our command post, and our tent was positioned very close to it. But the cap, the front bit had pushed out, the back had pushed out, and it was split. There was a faulty shell. I think had it gone off, it would have created a lot of problems. I was playing football.
Oh.
And what we did, they used to send a bulldozer into what was a paddy field. That was all, it was just a scratch. And I got septicemia. I could hardly stand it, and that was just in a matter of hours. So they sent me into a Ford Field hospital, which was an Indian hospital. The guys with the turban on the head and the target here. And they were just absolutely magnificent.
There would have been a lot of comrades that fought with you, a lot of fellow soldiers. Do you remember anyone?
Oh, yes, we had a lot of friends, but not really close friends. We did. Ron Reed. He was a sergeant, what they call a gun sergeant in the New Zealand artillery. We were not equipped with earmuffs or anything like that, and the blast would come round, and Reg got very deaf, so he couldn't work on the guns anymore. So he became an artillery signals sergeant, and that was called 355, because I too used to service the artillery command posts. We're doing similar roles, but for different. And it was summertime. I came home in April, and a couple of days later Mum said, she read in the paper where this Ron Reed had been killed in Korea, and I said yes, he was.
So after you returned home from the Korean War, what was your life like afterwards?
It was very difficult to sort of adjust back to civilian life. It really was. I used to drink a lot. It's to no effect. But anyway, yes, I gradually did that, and once I started to settle down, I met a very attractive lady and got married.
What are your opinions about the Korean War?
And it's just personal. I think it saved the Pacific, it stopped Russia getting right through. Had they taken over South Korea, Japan would have been taken over. Sure, we lost a lot of men, but But I know generally in Korea we were appreciated. But I think that we did a good job. We've been told we've done a good job, and I believe it. And we all played a pretty good part in it. My life has been punctuated by, I think, little miracles all the way. And if they weren't, I would never have made the grade to the age I am. And there's nothing that I did that I can say I regret having done. There's nothing.